Steps of quality management in PMP. In planned quality, we make a quality management plan to ensure quality standards are documented and the cost of quality is mentioned, money set aside to handle any risk, consisting of the cost of conformance and cost of non-conformance. Quality metrics, essentially key performance indicators (KPIs), focus on measuring the most critical aspects or factors. In execution, we ensure the right deliverables are being followed. Quality assurance is all about following the right process. In control quality, once deliverables are made, we inspect them. If they meet agreed quality standards, we get verified deliverables. Inspection is used to check deliverables. Audit is used to ensure that we are following the right process or not. Audits can be first party by your team, second party someone else from the organization, or third party someone independent and outside the organization, which is recommended. Sampling is used to select a few items from a large quantity of data. Sampling can be random or statistical. Histogram is a frequency distribution chart. Scatter diagram is used to identify the correlation between two variables. Fishbone diagram, also known as Ishikawa root cause analysis 5 with cause and effect diagrams, helps find the main cause of a problem, revealing why it's happening. Control charts are used to control the process, and if any point goes out of the limit, it needs to be investigated. Pareto charts are based on the 2080 principle, highlighting the most crucial factors, serving as a prioritization tool. Checklist is used to ensure the sequence of the process, confirming whether we are following the right process or not. Check sheet is used to count the defects. Quality is a continuous improvement process. PDC a plan do check act aka deeming cycle and 6 sigma out of 1 million. Only 3-4 defects are allowed. DMAIC define, measure, analyze, improve, and control are continuous improvement techniques used. How to handle risk in the project. Risk is R equals PXI probability multiplied by impact. For an event to be considered a risk, it must meet 2 criteria: that it has not yet occurred, and B, there must be a plan in place to address it. Use organizational process assets, EF, and other data to develop a risk management plan. This plan should define the organization's risk tolerance, thresholds, risk appetite, risk attitude, and risk matrix. Once the risk management plan is approved, begin the process of identifying risks. Use expert judgment, focus group, workshop, OPA, EEFs, and prompts lists to identify risks. Document these risks in the risk register. Use qualitative risk analysis to prioritize the risks. If required, use quantitative risk analysis to further prioritize risks. Once the risks have been prioritized, develop responses for both negative risks threats and positive risks opportunities. Remember, proactive risk response strategies involve actions such as avoidance, mitigation, and transfer for negative risks, and exploitation, enhancement, and sharing for positive risks. As soon as risks are identified, take immediate action on them. In reactive risk response strategies, such as risk acceptance, we identify risks, their triggers, and assign risk owners to implement contingency plans to manage those risks. Risk escalation is used for both positive and negative risks if they go beyond our threshold limits. Once a risk trigger occurs, risk owners implement the risk response, and we measure the effectiveness of the risk response. Residual risk refers to the risk that remains after implementing response measures, which is then assessed and measured. Secondary risk refers to a risk that arises as a result of implementing a response to another risk, much like any other risk. Risk audit is done to evaluate the effectiveness of the risk management process. Risk review meeting evaluates the remaining reserves and documents their status in the risk report. Anything that has occurred without a plan goes to the issue log. Throughout the process, whenever a risk is identified, we document it in the risk register, and it does not require a change request. Anything which does not have a plan will go to the issue log. Note that an issue is always a negative event. Positive issues are known as missed opportunities. Risks are exclusively recorded in the risk register. The risk management plan does not have any risk or response to it. Steps to handle issues. 1. Something unexpected has happened that was not planned. It should be recorded in the issue log. 2. Conduct a root cause analysis to understand why the issue wasn't identified and planned for beforehand. 3. Determine if a change request is necessary to address the issue, and if so, submit a change request accordingly. 4. If the change request is approved, implement the response and update the issue log. 5. If this issue can reoccur in the same project, update the risk register. 6. Update the lessons learned register for future projects. Handling change requests. 1. All changes must be raised and put in the change log. 2. The project manager will do impact analysis, checking how the change impacts scope, schedule, cost, and constraints, and send it to the change control board. 3. If the change control board rejects the change, the project manager will update the change log and communicate the status according to the communication management plan. 4. If the change control board approves the change, the project manager will update the change log, communicate the status according to the communication management plan, and implement the change. 5. The project manager will rebalance the project with new baselines. 6. Note: change in predictive and hybrid projects are handled in the same way. In Agile, all changes go to the product owner. They will reprioritize the product backlog and handle the change, and one change request is enough to update all plans. 7. We don't need to change the stakeholder register, issue log, risk register, and all other documents. Only plans and baselines need a change request. Managing procurement in PMP. Decide what you want to do. Is your scope fixed or variable? For fixed scope, we have firm fixed price contract, fixed price incentive fees contract, and fixed price economic price adjustment. The risk is on sellers. If the scope is not fixed, we can utilize cost reimbursement plus incentive fees, and cost reimbursement plus award fees. If we want to go for subscription, we can go for a time and material contract where the risk is maximum on the buyer. We make a procurement management plan to outline how the procurement process will unfold. We make a procurement strategy to define our approach and tactics for procurement. So, procurement statement of work is written and shared with sellers to define what we need, when we need it, and how much we need. We have a bidder conference in which the requirement will be defined further, and if bidders have questions, here is the time to ask them. After the bidder conference, the seller will provide a proposal. Negotiation will happen, and we will get the contract signed. Once the contract is signed, it becomes a binding agreement. Everything must be done according to it. If you want to do an audit of the organization, it must be mentioned in the agreement contract. Once deliverables are complete, we inspect them. If accepted, we proceed to pay the sellers and close the project. If there is a conflict, we will follow this process. A. Try to get a win-win situation. If that is not possible, B. Try to do what is written in the contract. If that fails, C. Get a mediator arbitrator. If everything fails, the last resort is D. Go to court. Note that procurements can be closed at various stages throughout the project, not just at the end. Anyone who terminates the contract or breaches it will be responsible for paying the associated fees. In Agile, we follow Agile contracts. Agile in PMP. Agile is a mindset that requires you to be adaptable and ready to implement changes at any given moment while also focusing on delivering progress incrementally. Agile is used when the requirements are not fixed and when you want delivery in parts. Agile consists of 4 values which are the heart of it. We need to memorize these 4 values and understand them in depth. Agile in PMP. Agile is a mindset that requires you to be adaptable and ready to implement changes at any given moment while also focusing on delivering progress incrementally. Agile is used when the requirements are not fixed and when you want delivery in parts. Agile consists of 4 values which are the heart of it. We need to memorize these 4 values and understand them in depth. Customer collaboration over contracts negotiation. Responding to change over following a plan. Working software over comprehensive documentation. Individual and interaction over processes and tools. Agile has 12 principles which are an extension of these 4 values. In Agile, we aim for T-type leaders, also known as generalized specialists. They possess deep expertise in one area and a general understanding of other topics. This approach helps prevent single points of failure. Team members are empowered and accountable. They select their work and are responsible for it and answerable for it. The team decides how much effort story points it will take to complete a user story requirement. Agile is lightweight estimation. We use ideal hours, affinity estimation, Fibonacci series for estimation, and planning poker to get consensus on story points. Velocity, how much work can be done in a sprint of 2 teams, cannot be compared. In Agile, we have small teams of fewer than 12 team members. As a servant leader, we provide them with an environment where the team can learn and grow together. We need to make sure the team can make mistakes and learn from them. Scrum is the most used project management framework in Agile. The Scrum Master is a servant leader who removes impediments among the team members and the product owner. The product owner is the voice of the customer. They decide what holds the most value throughout the project's duration. The product backlog is a prioritized list of user stories that need to be addressed in the project. It's organized using techniques like Moscow or 100 points, focusing on high-value and high-risk items first. A sprint typically lasts from 1 to 4 weeks, during which all the work for that period is completed. The sprint backlog consists of the tasks taken from the product backlog and scheduled to be completed during a specific sprint. Each sprint will have its own unique sprint backlog. The daily stand-up is a 15-minute status sharing meeting where we only discuss progress. We discuss what we did yesterday, what our plan is for today, and if there are any roadblocks or impediments. We use information radiators to share progress in a co-location area, burn down how much work is remaining, burn up how much work is done, task board, status board, and Kanban board. It gives work in progress and bottleneck in the process. Sprint review demo. Once your sprint is completed, time is completed. We show the customer only those user stories which are completed according to our definition of done, and the customer accepts them according to acceptance criteria. Anything that is rejected or not completed goes back to the product backlog, and anything accepted goes to product increment. Sprint review grooming. Once the demo is done with the customer, the product owner reprioritizes the product backlog based on customer feedback for the next sprint. Sprint retrospective. Team members gather to reflect on the recent sprint following 5 steps. Set the stage. Gather data. Generate insights. Decide what to do next. Close the retrospective. Lean is all about waste removal. We try to minimize lead time, total time from requested till it is completed, and cycle time when the team starts working on it till it gets completed, and we use value stream mapping for it. Osmotic communication occurs when the team overhears conversations in a co-located area. It helps to clarify and improve team experience. Spike is the time you set aside to handle risk. We have an architectural spike proof of concept in Sprint 0 and a risk spike to handle risk. Scrum of Scrums SOS. When the team is larger than 12 members, we can have multiple scrums. Test-driven development. When you first write the test and then start coding. Initially, the test will fail, then pass. Then you do refactoring, housekeeping, cleaning code. Steps for closing the project. 1. Project is successful, unsuccessful. 2. Get approval from the sponsor for closing the project. 3. Measure, validate the benefit of the project according to the benefit management plan. 4. Check procurements are closed and try to close them as much as you can. 5. Start writing the final report. 6. Start writing the lessons learned register, and once done, update the lessons learned repository. 7. Start updating the documents, and once done, archive all the documents. 8. Both the artifacts, i.e., documents and lessons learned, Go to OPA. 9. Make sure the operations team is trained and ready for transition. 10. Send the final report according to the communication management plan. 11. Release your team and perform administrative closure. 12. Celebrate success and close the project. How to solve the PMP questions. 1. Slow down and read the questions slowly so you can understand them better. 2. Identify the keywords. Every question will have a keyword. Recognize it, and you can answer the question. 3. Understand where you are in the process groups: initiation, planning, execution, monitoring and control, and closing. 4. Determine whether the question is related to agile or predictive methodology. If unclear, consider it a hybrid question. 5. If a question exceeds 3 lines, start by reading the last lines first. 6. If you don't do anything else, follow this. Elimination techniques go through every single option and justify it as right or wrong. 7. Once you are done with the questions, review them and put your lessons in an Excel file to review them. 8. In PMP questions, 2 options are typically irrelevant and 2 are close to being correct. Always select the best answer, as there is no penalty for incorrect responses.